to believe that you can make a difference. Hard work of change. You are the best supporters and organizers because you did change the world.
I want to build the wall. We need the wall. The Border Patrol, ICE, they all want the wall.
Please take the time and take the survey. Following lunch session 2, oh, sorry, I already said that, I think. So basically, between the end of this community panel and 3 p.m., our workshops will be, again, engage. We will have a very quick transition. The sessions engage end at 3 p.m. We are all going to try to do this, meet in that little green patch of grass right in front of Gage as soon as the last workshop ends, and we're going to walk over together as a posse. Everybody together. We'll guide you. Walk over as a posse to Sappensley Hall, where we will see a couple of amazing performers perform for us, and we will say our farewells to each other. And we will pass the torch along to a new college that will take on this great endeavor in this conference in the future. So don't forget, if you can make it and stay until the very end, the entertainment that will be culminating our experience the next couple of days is going to be fantastic. And it's just a very short walk, 3-minute walk that way, but it would be great to all walk together. Specific changes for sessions in the afternoon, and I beg for your forgiveness and understanding. There were a couple of hiccups this morning. We're doing the best that we can to accommodate. Colors for crayons, cultures for humanity, is in room 204. So make that note if you plan on going there. There's been a room change. Mi Gente workshop. Not sure, Pega, you don't know? Okay, we'll stop there. We thought we might be able to get that workshop to come back this afternoon. If that happens, we'll let somebody know. We'll let you all know. Okay, that's it for announcements. So, we heard from Sam, who's right here in our front row, eating some ropa vieja in Sancocho. We heard from Sarita last night. And I think I've heard even individually in some of our social moments, whether it's at the dance floor or in the lounge or just among each other, how important the role of mentoring is. Sponsorship, mentoring, guiding, navigating, right? Being each other's helper, seeking the wisdom and the advocacy and the counsel and guidance of others who may have paved the way for us. And then what the responsibility is for us, we heard it very clear from Sam, what our responsibility is to pave the way for others. So how do we pay that back? And so we thought we would have a community panel discussion about the role of mentorship in all of our lives and in our careers, whatever you choose to do in the future. And we couldn't think of better people to be able to share their experiences around mentoring and give you their pearls of wisdom than the 4 individuals that are on this panel. I will start with Norelis Consuegra. Where's Norelis? Right there. Norelis is a native Rhode Islander, and she is also the Deputy Director of Elections for Rhode Island Secretary of State Nelly Gorbea. So I don't know, for those of you who are not from Rhode Island, we have the honor and the privilege of having a Latina as our statewide elected official in charge of our most democratic function, which is elections and civic engagement, and we're very proud of that. Can we get a round of applause for that? So Norelis works in Secretary of State Gorbea's office, and she received her undergraduate degree from the University of Rhode Island, completed her master's degree in international relations from Salve Regina University, which happens to be in Newport, Rhode Island, for those of you who are not Rhode Islanders. Prior to her work in elections, she worked for U.S. Senator Jack Reed as a Senate aide for 20 years. Norelis is the recipient of the Ralph Gabarelli Service Award by Goodwill Industries of Rhode Island and has been recognized as Diversity Ambassador by the state of Rhode Island, was awarded the Extraordinary Woman Award in the community, received recognition for Rhode Island Latino Public Radio, And, oh my gosh, there's so much to say about Norelis. She's received numerous commendation letters from Rhode Islanders thanking her for her service and her assistance. And I can personally say that Norelis gives her heart and soul to any project, any initiative that she's committed to in the community or part of her work function. Sam, as you said, she's a doer, and her parents were the dreamers. And so we're very lucky to have Norelis here. I can go on and on, but I'll let her speak about some of the Latino Leadership Institute work that she's been doing, because I think there's a lot of mentorship there. Joyce Garzon, where's Joyce? Right here. I'm sorry, I'm going out of order. Go, Joyce. Joyce has some fans in the room. So Joyce is a staff member here, a very loved and coveted staff member at Rhode Island College. She is the director of Learning for Life. Learning for Life is a very important program on our campus that really wraps around students when they're vulnerable, when they need support and they need help. And Joyce is also an alum of Rhode Island College, and we're very proud of that. Also a Rhode Islander from Central Falls, just like me, actually, just like the three of us, CF. Actually, we're all Colombian. Okay, we're Colombia! I was going to say que we're Colombia and then the HP, but I can't do that. For those of you Colombian, you guys will get that. Education is a powerful tool that can be used positively, changing someone's life and standard of living and quality of life. Joyce Garzon has experienced this herself and is passionate about helping others obtain their higher education degree. That's exactly what she does, Sam, here at Rhode Island College. Joyce Garzon is an MSW, Master's in Social Work, an LI licensed clinical social worker, and as I said earlier, the director of Learning for Life. She helps students overcome non-academic barriers by connecting them to trained peer mentors and navigators and resources. And in her role as the director, she provides leadership to ensure unity around guiding principles for student-centered practice and seeks to improve institutional culture that supports student achievement. Prior to Learning for Life, Joyce worked as a licensed clinical social worker, providing trauma-informed care to children, adolescents, adults, families, and couples in diverse backgrounds and needs. Joyce serves as RIC's executive committee, at RIC's Executive Committee for Dialogue on Diversity and Inclusion, and on the RIC's School Social Work Diversity Task Force. Joyce. Pablo Rodriguez, it's like I'm doing a volleyball. Dr. Pablo Rodriguez, who is one of my mentors, personally and professionally. He is affectionately known as the godfather of the Latino community in Rhode Island. He's opened many doors for many people, myself included. Godfather, not in a bad term, in a wonderful term, more as a rainmaker and as a person. A padrino is somebody who's got your back, right? Somebody who's got your back. That's Dr. Pablo Rodriguez, in more ways than one. He has a BS in biology from the University of Puerto Rico. He is a doctor of medicine from the State University of New York, Buffalo, and completed his residency in 1985 from Nassau County Medical Center in New York. He is now the Associate Professor of OBGYN at Warren Alpert Medical School at Brown University. He also has been a board member of the Alan Guttmacher Institute and the National Latina Institute for Reproductive Health. He co-founded the Rhode Island Latino Political Action Committee and Latino Public Radio, where he hosted the only daily radio show in Spanish on healthcare issues, for which he was recently awarded the Metcalf Media Award. He currently hosts a health-themed webcast called Nuestra Salud and news analysis show Cirugia, Politica, play on words there, both on Rhode Island, roadinforma.com and, was there another one?
Road Informa Live.
Road Informa Live, Dr. Pablo Rodriguez, on Facebook. Dorca Paulino. Dorca is another alum of Rhode Island College. She is Rhode Island Judiciary's first diversity director. So she's the inaugural diversity director in our judiciary system of the state of Rhode Island. And in that capacity is responsible for managing all of the diversity and inclusion activities across the judicial branch of government. Think about that. That's pretty awesome. Ms. Paulino works with the chief judges and administrators of each court to serve 700 full-time employees and to ensure compliance of state and federal laws and regulations regarding equal opportunity. You need an assistant. You need 3 Dorca Paulinas for 700 employees. We need to get on that, Pablo. Ms. Paulino came to the judiciary with 9 years of corporate experience in the areas of human resources, accounting, and sales, and worked for subcontracting companies that followed minority participation policies established by Local 94, which is a union, Local 2168, Local 6, Local 17. These are all labor unions. Woo! Dorca is a Henry Toll Fellow and recipient of the American Society for Public Administration Equal Opportunity Affirmative Action Exemplary Practices Award. She holds a graduate degree from Roger Williams University and an undergraduate degree from Rhode Island College. So that is our esteemed panel. As I said earlier, we're going to be talking about mentoring, so I'm going to pose 3 questions, and if we could just go down the line and answer them. Mentorship is important. So I'm wondering, the first question could be, maybe Norelis could start. Can you please discuss your mentors from the past and your present? Who are they? Something very simple.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor.
I need to get closer to that thing, too.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sitting next to one. As Ana mentioned, Dr. Rodriguez, when I started my career back in 1996, when I graduated from URI, there wasn't a Latino community involved in politics. I was the first Latina to work for an elected official at the federal level. 2 years later, Dr. Paulo Rodriguez initiated the Rhode Island Political Action Committee, and it was the first time that Latinos who wanted to be civically engaged, politically engaged, had someone to turn to. So he definitely has been the padrino to many of us. Currently, Ana, I would say Ana is one of the mentors that, a sister that I looked to for guidance, advice, when I was changing careers. She's one of the few people that had mentioned my interest in leaving the senator's office in seeking other opportunities. So it's important to really find someone that you trust, someone that you value, someone that you really, that they know you. And sort of, there was a moment where I wanted to seek another master's degree, and I remember Ana saying to me, she's like, you don't need any more education.
Educated enough, don't save your money.
So it's something as much as we think we need something, it's always good to rely on those individuals that know you in a different way and sort of make you see, okay, you're right, I don't need another degree. You know, what I need is a different job. So definitely I would say Pablo and Ana.
Thank you, and I didn't tell her to say that. I'm absolutely flabbergasted. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Pleasure to be here today. I feel so old with all these accomplished people calling me a mentor. So, I mean, I really have to say that my most important mentor has been my mother. My mother was someone that at age 24, after having 2 children, had a tubal ligation, and you would think, oh, what's the big deal about that? Well, the big deal about that was that in Puerto Rico, a woman at age 24 had every person in her family just telling her, you can't do that. And she just, you know, taught me about looking towards the future, and that's what she was looking at. She was saying, I only have 2 kids. I can only afford 2 kids, and I am going to give these 2 kids the best I can. And she did. I became a doctor, my brother became an engineer, and she came from very, very poor upbringing. Washing clothes in the river, kind of an upbringing, so really poor. So she really was my mentor in my early days. She also did something that I found out after she died, which is that she kicked out my grandfather out of the house. My grandfather was an evil man, a wife beater, an abuser, and my grandmother couldn't do that because very Catholic. He's my husband. He can do anything he wants with me. And my mother, at age 19, and I found out this, like I said, after she died, basically stood in front of the door and said, "Usted no entra aquí," and completely blocked his way into the house. A big man, a policeman, you know, with the authority to beat the crap out of her. You know, that always stuck with me, you know, that she had that kind of a courage to just, you know, face adversity. As I grew up, my Spanish teacher in 12th grade, I cut class one day, and I was stupid enough to walk around the front of the window for the, I mean, it's like, you know, I think now and I say, what were you thinking? You know, so she kind of saw me walking out on the street when I was supposed to be in her classroom. And the next day in the class, she goes, well, we have somebody here that thinks is smarter than all of us. And you know what? He's going to show us that he's smarter than all of us, and he's going to have the best grade in this class. I am going to make sure of it. And she was just on top of me for the rest of the year, every day, and I did get the medal in Spanish as a result, because I didn't want to, you know, face her anymore. A small woman, she was like 4'2", but she was, you know, she was very fearful, made you fearful of her. And as I came to Rhode Island, I went to State University of New York, Buffalo for medical school, and then New York, and then I came here for my first job. One person that basically just engaged me in a way of participating in the community that I, you know, didn't take seriously at the beginning was George Graybois.
Oh, I remember George Graybois.
George Graybois was a banker, but he was a philanthropist and somebody that, you know, so many things here in Rhode Island, especially in education, College Crusade, all sorts of programs that he started and he pushed forward. He appointed me to this group called the Minority Investment Development Corporation, which was the first financing organization for minority businesses in the state many years ago. And I'm like, okay, so I joined the board, and I missed one meeting. So he called me and he said, Pablo, I need to meet with you. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. He was the chairman and the founder. So he sat down with me, we had coffee, and he basically said, so you missed a meeting. And I'm like, oh, okay, I thought you could miss a meeting. And he was like, no, this is a serious effort. And no one is doing this, only we are doing this. If all of us do not, you know, stay the course, if we don't take seriously what we're doing, then nobody else will take it seriously. And you are a member of this community. I'm white, I'm rich, I don't need any of this. Your community needs this. So you have to be here at every meeting. Forever, that was to me the call to action for the rest of my life. Since then, I don't think I've ever missed a meeting for any of the 25 boards that I've served, unless I have a very, very good reason. I'm not in the country or I'm not in the state. And that is something that showing up, well, what did I say, showing up is 90% of the job. 90% of the job. So if there's a message that I can give you today, is show up. Show up to vote, show up to volunteer, show up to help your friends, show up to study, show up to your family, to conferences like today. So, show to class, yeah, that's right, show up.
Joyce. Hello, everyone. If we could just take a minute to look around, this is like so surreal for me. This is awesome. And also there's sancocho in the room, like that's like, I know. So I was born in Barranquilla, Colombia. I heard there was a lot of Colombians in here. And I moved to the United States when I was really little. I grew up in Central Falls, Rhode Island. Central Falls is a really unique place. It's 1 square mile, which I always thought was really cool because you can literally walk anywhere and you're there in like 5 to 10 minutes, depending if you walk really like a Latina or, you know, depending on how you walk. But Anyway, so I always knew that I wanted to pursue higher education. None of my parents graduated college, but they instilled that value in me from very early on. And I just didn't know how to get there. I knew that's where I wanted to go, but I didn't know how to get there. And as I progressed through the system, and I, maybe sophomore year, I had a lot of my peers who were actually pregnant around me, and I started to think, well, I don't know, is this what's gonna happen? Like, I kind of thought that that was like something that was, you just like caught, like the cold, it was like, oh shoot, am I gonna get pregnant? Like I didn't know really, I was lost. And I had this one teacher, Mr. DeLeo, I think he's still in Central Falls,
He is.
yeah, he's an English teacher, and he really just saw the potential that I couldn't see in myself, and he kind of took me under his wing in terms of developing my writing skills, and so he really worked with me, encouraged me, and at the end of the year, it was really humbling. I went to the ceremony. I wasn't actually going to go, but people kept telling me, you should be there, you need to be there. And I go and I walk in the room, and everyone's like looking at me like they know something that I don't know. And I ended up getting like 6 awards that night. And one of the awards that I got was for most improved in English. Yeah, it was really neat. And that has kind of stuck with me because I think, and we're going to talk about this, but with a mentor, you don't need someone that's just like, you're great, you can do it, but you need someone that sees where you are right now and can also see where you can be, and that helps you and is real with you and pushes you to get there. And that award stuck with me because that's exactly what happened. He saw that potential and he helped me get to that point, where I believed in myself, where I knew that college was for me. So he was one of my mentors. And then when I got to college, I quickly figured out that I needed many more mentors because I had no idea what the heck I was doing. And being a first-gen student, that's normal. And so I started to connect with people here. I really don't feel comfortable naming all of them because there were so many and they were so instrumental in me getting to that finish line. And then after I graduated, and I'm hoping to talk a little bit more about this later, but after I graduated, there was some faculty members here who just still believed in me and stayed in touch, and because of them is really one of the biggest reasons that I'm sitting here today. And as you're hearing, the theme is people who believe in you, right? They can see the potential that maybe you don't see in yourself. The other cool thing is that we have a Latino president at this institution. That is rare, So I feel so privileged to be able to work in an institution led by a Latino. We have a Latina who's the leader of the Community Equity and Diversity Department here, Colombian. Like, you don't really see that. Most of my mentors prior to coming back to RIC to work were all white. And times are changing. And so lots of mentors, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, Anna's definitely a mentor for sure. But, yeah.
Thank you.
Vergüenza, she says.
Dorca. Thank you.
All right. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, Dorca.
I want to reiterate something Joyce said about mentors being people who see things in us that sometimes we're not aware, qualities that we may have or we don't know yet. I've been very fortunate throughout my life to come across different people who have seen me before I saw myself at different stages of my life. For example, like you, I was born in a developing country, in the Dominican Republic, actually. Yes.
Dominican Republic.
And my family moved here when I was a freshman in high school. The school year had started. It was a tough transition. And my first mentor here was a beautiful surprise to me. She was my youth pastor at the church my parents joined. And she took me under her wing, and she was trying to integrate me into the culture and show me around. So Rosami, I would say, was my first mentor here in the US. But I feel like it's hard to find just one person who fits that box. And it's important to look around and to recognize in different seasons of our lives, what is it that we need at that time? And to also recognize the people that surround us, who see us for who we are. That has changed from my oldest sister, who shows me how important it is to bring my full self into every activity that I do, or every event, or every work activity. To people like Ana Cano, who I talked to when I was transitioning from the private sector into nonprofit and government. And I remember we had lunch one day, and she gave me amazing career advice that changed the direction of my career. To people like Noreli Consuegra, who's also here, because in good Rhode Island fashion, the proximity, right? It's very small. And I remember sitting with Noreli and letting her know, hey, I'm interviewing for this job at the Supreme Court, let's talk, right? And developing a strategy. And not only that, but so many people. There's one person that I keep in touch who's very special to me. He's 85 years old, Mr. Coolin. I met him when I was 17. I was taking a class at the Community College of Rhode Island, and he was my instructor, and we kept in touch, and at that time, he saw the potential that I had not seen in myself as a future professional. As a first-generation college student, I didn't see myself in that way, and it meant so much to me that he did. And I mean, our relationship ranges from emailing to calling on the phone to going out for lunch. Every time I have transition jobs, he has been a reference. We still keep in touch. I see him at least every other month, I would say. And I guess if I could leave it with one thing with this conversation that we're having here today, it's look around and recognize the people around you, because a lot of times we miss on those opportunities to connect and to grow with others and to allow others in, and I think it's so important.
Thank you. Fantastic. So I was taking notes while you all were discussing and identifying the special people in your life, and thank you for those who identified me. That was not the plan, but I'm humbled that you think that. So here are some of the themes that have come out so far. Affirming identity, so somebody that reflects you, right, sees you, that you have similarities with, that is able to affirm who you are, the multiple identities that you have. Because sometimes, you know, we walk into a room, I know many times I walk into a room in higher education and I'm the only one. I'm the only one who has an immigrant background, I'm the only one who speaks more than one language, I'm the only one that was born in Central Falls and who had a different trajectory into higher education than some other people. And so just that affirmation in mentors is a valuable thing. Another thing is accountability. You missed a meeting. Chairman brought you in, you missed a meeting. Accountability. Sometimes we push back because we love. When we ignore things, it's because no nos importa. Doesn't matter if you are late. Doesn't matter if you're not dressed appropriately. It doesn't matter if you made a mistake and I didn't call you on it. When we do that, we love you, we see you, we want you to grow. And so accountability is another one. People who don't give up on you, people who are relentless, people who continue to kind of check in with you, hey, how you doing? What's going on? The text. Those are the people that sometimes we ignore because like, they're making you think about things that are uncomfortable. So those are the people that you certainly want to gravitate to. And then lastly, people who give you access and people who give you guidance, particularly on career or educational goals. Noreli spoke a little bit about that, and access in terms of all of these individuals have talked about access, whether it's a teacher or a mentor, somebody in business, somebody in your life, personal life. So those are some of the themes. That said, panelists, what are the qualities of an effective mentor in your opinion? And feel free to utilize an example. You might have already given an example, but what are the qualities of an effective mentor? Because I think we walk around and we encounter people all the time and we have relationships with people, but sometimes they're not very functioning or positive. Sometimes they can steer you a different way. And so it's important, I think, for us to have a conversation, an honest conversation about what is an effective mentor. Dorca, we'll start with you.
All right. I think it would have to be someone who has the ability to listen, but not only to listen, but to wait until you're ready to share, whether it's your story or to share that need that you have that they could support. I think a lot of times, especially as younger professionals, right, if you're starting out your career, I remember coming across people who be really excited about our mentorship relationship, but sometimes would push me to share experiences that I was not ready to share. And I think it's very important to find somebody who honors your story and your timing and who allows you to share that when you feel like you're ready to do that. But definitely somebody who holds you accountable. I think it's so important to surround ourselves with people who tell us not just the things that we want to hear, but who tell us if you're not doing as well in school, or if we have an interview and you're prepping for it with someone, you don't want to just hear your strengths. No, you want to prep with somebody who tells you what your growth areas are, and I think that is so important. But also people who are able to celebrate where you are now, because I think it's so important. And in that professional development process, it's so easy to lose yourself because you're just trying to keep your eye on the target, and you forget about the day-to-day, but being able to talk to somebody who sees you for who you are today and can help you utilize those strengths, that's very important to me.
Thank you, Dorca. What about you, Joyce? What do you think the qualities of an effective, or a quality of an effective mentor is?
I would say Dorca touched on several qualities. I would say one that's really important too is their passion, and that they're passionate about whatever you're interested in as well, because that passion is contagious. So I tell a lot of stories, but I watched this Netflix documentary one time, and this is going to sound unrelated, but it'll circle back, about a sushi chef, right? And he has I think 5 seats in his restaurant, and who is it? Jiro. Yeah.
Jiro.
Yeah, watch this and you'll be inspired to become a sushi chef, I'm telling you. And so pretty much, they talk about his passion and how, he has people who intern for him and they just make rice for 10 years for him, until they're ready to take it to the next step. But his passion is so contagious, and that's really what struck me from watching that. And so what I look for is people who are passionate like that, and people who can help me believe in something bigger, something that I don't even think is possible, but I see them kind of working towards it and chipping towards it every day. So I would definitely say someone who's just passionate, and I would also say someone who has integrity, because the world that we live in today, it can be easier to do the wrong thing, or what's quicker, or what's going to make you look good instead of doing what's right. And I think that, that it's important for us to be observant of the decisions that people around us make, and connect with those people that are doing the right thing, even when other people, or when it's not cool to do so.
Thank you, Joyce.
Yeah.
Pablo? Qualities of an effective mentor.
Brutally honest.
Okay.
You have to be brutally honest with the people that you're trying to advise. And as I teach at the medical school. I teach residents and medical students, and I have to be teaching people in the middle of surgery. So I have somebody cutting people up, and I have to be making sure that they're doing the right thing. So I can't be just saying, oh, listen, maybe you should do this the other way, because if they do the wrong thing, they kill the patient. But it applies to everything. It doesn't apply just to surgery. You have to be very, very honest with the person that you're trying to advise. At the same time, and this almost feels like the absolute opposite, but in the same discussion, I've met doctors now that I trained 30 years ago that tell me, I never forgot what you told me. And it's a phrase that I use with every student, with every person that I train in surgery, the phrase is, what's the worst that can happen? And it's amazing, because when you're trying to make a decision, when you're trying to move forward and doing something that is uncomfortable, the reason it's uncomfortable is because you're afraid. You're afraid of what may happen, even though you don't even think about what's the worst that can happen. The fear paralyzes you and doesn't let you make a decision. And when you actually start backwards from the point of what's the worst that can happen, then you realize, oh, why am I afraid of the worst consequence of this action? When in reality, it's not going to really affect me that much. And I'll tell you somebody that I said that phrase to and changed her life, and that's Nelly Gorbea.
It is.
Nelly Gorbea, who's our Secretary of State, she used to work in a bank. She used to do municipal financing. Boring as all hell. This woman is a dynamo. She's absolutely brilliant and an absolute leader. And he was in a cubicle, and I'm like, okay, I got to tell you something. You're wasting your life. I mean, that's what I told her. I said, you're wasting your life. So I was able to convince her to join the Rhode Island Foundation as a program officer, and that was the beginning of a community career that landed her as a Secretary of State.
And it's not done yet.
And it's not done yet. She could be our next governor. But brutal honesty and being able to calm the fears of the person that you are advising.
Thank you very much. You don't realize this, Pablo, but you just mentored me because